Hello everybody, I thought I'd read you Merlin and I thought we'd read you a story about a little girl called Katie Morag, and she lives on an island in west of Scotland, which, if I was very honest everyone, that's where I would like to visit right now. It's a place I've visited a lot since I was a little girl, when we rented a little cottage every year and had at least a week on a Scottish island. It's not for everybody, it's not a very hot, but it's beautiful and I love the way of life. So let me tell you a story about Katie Morag. Sorry, Merlin and I will tell you a story about Katie Morag. This is where she lives. It's called the Isle of Struay, and it's based on some islands that are there already in the west of Scotland. Can you see it? They live on a bay, which is where the water comes in. Look, the ocean's here, there's islands all around. This is the post office. This is where Katie Morag lives with her mum and her dad and her little baby brother. This is the jetty where everybody puts things off and on to the little boat that goes to the mainland Scotland. So this is also the post office, so this is where everyone will go to. We'll call it like a hub. It's where everybody goes to eventually. There's lots of sheep on the Scottish islands, and these are some houses. This is the village, so you can see how small it is. Then as we wend round the road, there's Redburn Bridge, Mrs Bayview's house. Oh, she lives right on the beach, what a lucky lady. Then up to High Farm, then back down along the coast, then up to the holiday house, which gets rented out to people like me and you. And then the lady artist's house, she lives right by the sea as well. And then finally there's Granny's house. So if Katie wants to go to Granny's house, she has to walk or cycle all the way around the bay. There aren't any cars, but there is one vehicle that Grandma owns. Right, let's find out the first story. Katie Morag, Island Stories by Mary Hedderwick. Katie Morag delivers the mail. So there's the ferry that brings all the things that people need, so the shopping and the parcels, and the little boat, Struay Lass, goes out and collects the goods and brings them back, and they take them off here. Wednesdays were always hectic in the Isle of Struay, for that was the day that the boat brought the mail and provisions from the mainland on the big boat. So everybody's busy, look. One particular Wednesday was worse than usual, since baby Liam was cutting his first tooth, and both Mr. and Mrs. McColl were in a bad mood. All right, said Mrs. McColl in exasperation. I'll take Liam upstairs to quieten him down. Katie Morag, you take the mail to the houses across the bay. There are 5 parcels now, 1 for each house. The one with the red label is for Granny. So off Katie Morag goes. Pleased to escape, Katie Morag set off. She loved any excuse to visit her Granny, who lived all alone in the very last house on the other side of the bay. But it was a hot day, and Katie Morag had just stopped for a moment to paddle in the pool beneath the Redburn Bridge, when suddenly, splash! She slipped on a slithery stone and fell into the water, mailbag and all. Oh no. Oh dear, well, Katie Morag, looking at the 5 soggy parcels, All the addresses are smudged, and I won't know which parcel is for which house now. Only Granny's parcel was recognisable because it had a red label. That Herod. Then, because she was so frightened and ashamed, Katie Morag did a silly thing. She ran all the way to the other side of the bay and threw a parcel, any parcel, except the red labelled one, onto the doorsteps of all the houses. Nobody saw her, and still sobbing, she ran onto Grandma's house. There she is, look. Well, this is a fine murch you've got yourself into, Katie Morag, said Granny, when Katie Morag had explained what she'd done. Still, at least you've given me the right parcel. It's got the spare part for the tractor. Can you see the tractor there, look? That I've been waiting for. I'll go and get the old grey lady going while you dry yourself up. Then you can try and sort the whole muddle out. So look, the wellies are warming by the big stove. The mailbag's drying out. Socks are drying. The cat's looking at the chicks. Can you see these chicks here? Grandma's making her own brew to drink. Got lots of kittens. The cats look healthy. The dog's looking. What's Katie Morag doing? She's putting some clean clothes on. She must have had them at her grandma's house already. And look, Grandma's got the spark plug that is needed for the tractor. So Katie Morag's going to get herself all clean and dry, and Grandma's going to start the tractor up. Ooh, look at that view. Granny had a head under the bonnet of the tractor for a long time. Occasionally, Katie Morag heard muffled words of anger, and she thought of the angry words waiting for her at home. And then suddenly, with a cough, the tractor stuttered into life, and they set off to go round the 4 houses in turn. Paintings for sale. The first house belonged to the lady artist. She'd been expecting teeny tiny thin brushes for her miniature paintings, but the parcel Katie Morag had left on her doorstep contained 2 enormous brushes. "They're bigger than my painting boards," she said in disgust. The second house was rented by the holiday people. They had ordered fishing hooks from a sports catalogue, but their parcel had been full of garden seeds. "We can't catch fish with daisies and lettuces," they complained. Oh dear, everybody's very cross. At the third house, Mr. McMaster was standing by a big barrel of whitewash, holding the lady artist's painting brushes. "I can't paint all of this wall with these teeny tiny fiddly things," he said. In the fourth house, Mrs. Bayview, "That stupid shop on the mainland. Where are my seeds? Flowers don't grow out of these," she said crossly, waving a packet of fishing hooks in the air. Oh dear. After much trundling back and forth, Katie Morag finally managed to collect and deliver all the right things to the right people. Everyone smiled and waved, said, thanks very much." Katie Morag trundled on the tractor with the Granny. By now it was getting dark. You see the sun going down. Katie Morag thought of the long journey home. She would be very late, and her parents were so bad-tempered these days on account of Liam's noisy teething. "Granny, would you like to come back for tea?" she asked. Look where the dog is. Katie Morag half hid behind Granny as they walked in through the kitchen door. But to her surprise, everyone was smiling. Liam had cut his tooth at last, and all was calm. "Thanks for helping out today, Katie Morag," said her mum. "Isn't she good, Granny?" "Oh, hi," said Granny with a smile as she looked at Katie Morag. "She's very good at sorting things out, is our Katie Morag." and she said no more. The end of that story. Next week I'll read you Katie Morag and the Two Grandmothers. Look forward to hearing from you then. Bye.